I started as like a blank slate with myself. I was like, everything I did didn't work. I don't know what didn't work. I don't know what worked, but I'm just gonna start over. And it was hard, especially like waking up with like my mom spraying on her perfume and me being 30 and being like, oh wow, like I'm 30, like this, like pretending to be asleep still, you know, like when you're like 13, your dad sneaks in to see if you're like snuck out that night, you know, that kind of stuff again. So like, you know, but I started to construct a new life. So I brought the ring I talked about like 2 weeks ago, right? One of my first exercises was this ring right here. Like I put it on and I was just gonna track all my negative thoughts. I read Feeling Good, it was like one of the depression books, right? And I was just gonna track my negative thoughts. So every time I had something negative go through my head, I'm just like, boom, right? I started with one on my neck, didn't work because it's like too big and bulky, right? I couldn't have it like, I didn't want to go in the store with like this big like counter on my neck. So I settled with this one, and I had it covered up too, because I didn't want to like influence my results. So I put a sticker on the screen so I can be like, oh, I'm only at like 149 today. I'm having a good day, right? And it was like that. It was like 200, 300, and then I didn't even try and change anything at first. I'm just like, how am I going through my days having 300 negative thoughts? Like, no wonder my life sucks and I'm depressed, right? I'm beating myself up every day, right? But I didn't know how to change, didn't know what to do, but just by having this and like monitoring those thoughts, I brought them down like 100s, 70s. I'm like, dang, this is like really working, right? So I brought the ring, I'm gonna put it on tonight, so that's what that is. I don't use it anymore, but like it's a practice that helped me get to where I'm at today. Talking about what we're gonna talk about, right? I have my little, I like making pictures. So like, we have like our dude right here. This is us, right? That's like our eyesight. And this board's way smaller than I thought it was gonna be. What we're gonna focus on, and in this group, or how at least when I like am talking or running meetings, is like stuff that we can observe. So this is gonna be kind of our level here. We're gonna focus on like what we can see, right? What we can touch. This was so much easier to write on a regular piece of paper. Our thoughts, right? We'll just put thinking. That's good spelling that. See what we can hear, right? Our values, our beliefs, things that we can observe, things that we can test, things that we can change, right? So like up here we have like gods, we have like spirits. This is like higher level stuff, right? And down here we have lower level stuff. We have like atoms, and give me a second here. Let me finish this off. We have like molecules, we have like charges, all right? Lower level, higher level, our level. Not saying higher level stuff and lower level stuff isn't as important as our level, just saying it's not where my area of expertise is, so it's not where I'm gonna focus on when I'm talking. So we're going to focus on like the observable, the stuff that we have the power to change, test, right? And then what it comes down to is like how we think, feel, and behave, right? This is the stuff that we want to work on. This is the stuff that I worked on, right? Our thoughts, our feelings, and our behaviors, right? And can we change all of this? Yes, this is all stuff, and I feel really weird with this ring. I'm going to take it off. We can change all this stuff, right? Like we're creating our thoughts right now. Right now, everybody in this room is having a completely different experience. Right? Like Jordan could be like sitting there and be like, man, this is boring. How much longer here? And I'm not saying you really think that, right? And Matt might be like, this is like, I've already found my one thing. I've learned something. This is great. I'm gonna draw a little drawing up here of like some system. This is the Tony Robbins thing, but it like there's other models. Like has anybody read any stuff by I forget his first name, Dilts, NLP guy, Robert Dilts. He goes into some different models. I think he calls it like the role model or the SOAR model. Very similar to this here if you combine the both of them. But like this is going to be the worst drawing of a brain you'll ever see. It's like go like that. Okay, brain, right? We have like boom, 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 boom. We have sounds coming in. We have sights, right? What we see. Sights, that's a very funny way to put it. Taste. And I have really great handwriting, by the way. We have what we touch. This is like.
Smell.
And smell, did I miss smell? Yeah.
I think you did.
Smell. This is like our incoming stimuli, right? This comes in from our environment, right?
Our senses.
The senses, five
Yeah.
senses. right? That comes in to our brain. And then we have in here, we have like, this is like our values, and then we have our beliefs. This is basically our filtering system, right? So we have like stuff coming in, we process that stuff, and this is like why we can all have different experiences, right? Nothing too profound here. So we have like here, we have our filters, right? Our values, our beliefs. This is like our emotions here, okay? Because those like influence us to have emotions. And then when we like finish our do here, that's like, I really like this model because you have our incoming stimulus, right? We have our filters, our values and beliefs, create our emotions. Our emotions create or influence all that, our behaviors, and our behaviors produce our results, right? Or like when the results can be whatever it is, you know, being happy or producing results at work or whatever results that we're aiming to achieve. The one thing I liked about this system is like, I don't think it's like linear, right? Our stimulus doesn't like go just straight, our stimuli comes in, the filters, it causes the emotions. It's not a linear system, right? Look at it more of like a broader picture. All of these are components in a system and they all affect each other, right? So instead of going in a straight line around, and it makes it more complicated to think about because you're like, okay, well, where do I even start if like this goes here and that goes here and this goes over here, right? And that goes over there. There was an arrow there. And that goes over there. But like, I like systems theory because if you change one part of a system, everything else changes, right? Mm-hmm. Now we may not know, I may not know exactly if I make a change to my emotions, right? How is it going to affect my results? How is it going to affect my values and my beliefs, right? How is it going to affect my behaviors? I don't know, but I know this is a system that I believe to work, and I know if I change a component of it, if I believe in systems theory, all the other stuff's going to change, right? So that's why I really like this model because I would just start messing around and stuff. Well, let me change my emotions and see what happens, right? So like, because if you look at like results, the end product is a result. Well, if we also say that sound, sight, smells, taste, everything is our incoming stimuli, well, is our results, will that be an incoming stimuli, right? If we produce something, we're going to see or observe whatever it is that we produce, and that will then become our stimuli, right? So it's like every component's affecting every other component, and our results are feeding back into the system, right? So just look at like negative thoughts. If we have negative thoughts, we're going to start feeding that back in, and that's going to be our input to our system, right? Or when we have positive thoughts, those positive thoughts will become our input, and they all kind of like affect each other. So that's like these components were super helpful. Or did you have something to add?
I was just going to say, you know, you could look at some of those components and they're really weighted because emotions are, if you change your emotions to being happy, all the other stimuli is going to look different than if you're depressed.
For sure.
So emotions are a very big item that is weighted probably very differently than a lot of the other items on the chart. So
I agree. I focused like, and where I most just see the agenda, the last two are really like light. That's also because I was getting tired and like typing this whole thing. But like, yeah, the emotions, your filters, your values, beliefs, and even your stimuli is where I focus. Because like, if you can focus on the results, there's tons of productivity in the books about like focusing on results, and that's fine. I've done that for a big portion of my life. Like, I set a goal and I achieved my goal, but I wasn't happy achieving my goal, right? And when I got to my goal, I wasn't happy. Like, they're going out of order, but I appreciate it because I probably skipped a bunch of stuff I don't need to say anyway. Like, I've achieved business goals. Like, I've set goals for businesses and I've blown it away by like 3 times, right? Like big goals where I'm like, oh my God, like I didn't think I could achieve the first goal, and now like we're talking about like doing like $750,000 in gross sales in a month on a website, right? Our goal was like $250,000. So it's like I've achieved those goals in life where I said like I'm just gonna make money, I'm gonna do that, but it's like then I got there and it's like my life still kind of sucks. I have this money to spend on this stupid crap I don't need, and I can go to these casinos and pretend like I'm cool, and like it didn't make me happy, right? And I always thought growing up, like, oh, if I can just, my parents are like not happy because they have to go to work and like do this work for other people and do that stuff. So I was like, all I need is money and I have happiness, right? So I focused on those results in the first like chunk of my life, right? And I got there and it's just that wasn't happy. So I focused on the other aspects this time. Like, why not be happy first? And then where those results will come, right? And I found like I'm getting closer and closer to my goals faster and faster right now because I'm just focusing on how I'm processing the information coming in at the time, right? The emotions I'm having on my everyday basis, and my behaviors are being influenced automatically, and my results are also like moving in the direction where I want them to go. So I think like, yes, the emotions heavily weighted, for sure. So like proof that this stuff works, right? I have a couple books I brought here, just like proof that like kind of like we can make these changes, right? You have like Tony Robbins, obviously he's proof it works. You guys don't really need the proof it works, right? You guys already know this stuff. Like you have like Viktor Frankl, right? He was like a psychiatrist who lived through a Nazi concentration. How many of you have read this book, like Man's Search for Meaning?
My favorite.
Yeah, amazing book. Like definitely read it if you haven't read it. In a concentration camp dealing with like the worst imaginable like stuff in life, right? He kept his spirits high. He couldn't control his incoming stimulus, right? Because it's like he was in a concentration camp. He couldn't control what's happening around him, but he could control how he was processing the information and how he influenced and helped like other people in his environment process that information and go through it. So very, very good read there.
Can I say something about Frankl though?
Yeah.
Because the biggest takeaway that I got from Viktor Frankl was, you know, there's so much out there that we say, you gotta find your purpose. What's the purpose of your life? Get your purpose. And once you start doing your purpose, you'll be happy. Frankl says, you decide what your damn purpose is, and then do it. You don't have to go out and find anything. You've already got it. You decide what it's going to be. And I thought that was the most brilliant thing that I had ever heard. I truly did. Wow, is that a flip from everything that we have thrown at us here today?
Right, it's like finding your purpose from your experiences and what you've already...
Yeah, just decide on what you want to do.
It's a difference between being dependent or independent. When you're dependent on ourselves, we go and find the purpose we want based on a desire of doing something. But if we're dependent on somebody else, then we want to go find, tell somebody to tell us what our purpose is.
And that's a big industry in itself. You know, come to me and I have this great thing and I will help you find your purpose. Well, I already know it. Just
For sure.
Hey, sorry, that kind of struck a chord with me. That's like a revolutionary thought there. Don't find your purpose. Don't go out there and try a million things what you're good at. Just pick something. You know, pick something, do it the best. If you don't want to do it, you can always change, right?
well, and that's the reason that Frankl ultimately said that was what kept him alive in the concentration camp, and that is what kept the people who did live through it alive. And the ones who died were the ones who decided they didn't have any purpose.
No, they didn't feel.
And they,
Last time I remember partially reading it was that they did not see a future for themselves. They did not see a future because they thought that was all. They thought they were done. They thought there was no way of coming out of it alive. So they didn't have a goal. They did not see.
It's like to relate to purpose too, right?
Yeah,
It's like there's
yeah.
nothing in the future to look forward to affecting like your, I'll use Tim's word, wellness, right? I love concept of wellness. I thought about that a lot this week. It's very fascinating.
My recollection is also that there was hope, like the people had families that they were hoping to reunite with and things like that, that they had that hope. And that was their purpose.
that was their purpose.
But to have that hope of realizing that, you know, gave them a purpose to persist. Whereas if people didn't have any hope, then they didn't have any purpose and they would give up.
The reason I pulled it out was like that meaning thing, right? The one thing, the common factor, like you have Viktor Frankl, you have Norman Cousins, you have Tony Robbins, right? And I'll use myself as an example too. Like we all like found some sort of a meaning that kind of drove us forward through a really hard time, right? So like I told my story not to like, not that I'm like proud of it, because like I feel like if I started from this point, like your guys' starting point is not as bad as like that, right? So like the changes that you can make will be like even faster, even better than like where I started from. And that was kind of mixing up my story there. But like meaning is something that I felt like really helped me. Like my addiction I utilized as my purpose and my meaning, right? I'm like, okay, well, I had all these problems now, like I want to help other people be able to get over addiction. Like I want to help the guy under a bridge, right? And am I doing that yet? No, but am I building up into that? Yes. Like that's what like drives me. That's what I do. What I do. So that's kind of why I brought these out. Because like if I look at all these people I'm reading about, the ones that have made these profound changes in life had some sort of driving factor, and I think these exercises were what helped me kind of define my driving factor. Because it was like Tony Robbins' book that had me Unlimited Power, no, Awaken the Giant Within, where similar exercises, the Date with Destiny program is very similar that he goes through, but it's where I really like honed in on. And like you guys are saying, I wasn't fine. It wasn't like I was trying like, oh, let me go try a bunch of stuff and find meaning. Like, what am I already working with, right? Well, I'm already working with. I have so much history of like fucking my life up. And sorry for cussing. I don't cuss too much, and I didn't like Tony Robbins at first because he cussed so much, right? But like screwing my life up with drugs, like that can be my meaning right there. Like, why am I not like helping other people get over addiction stuff, right? And that's kind of where I'm going with my life for getting there. So that's, I think these will help with kind of defining that, and like knowing that I found is very helpful. That's why I brought the exercises out. The components, we're not going to have time to go over all this stuff, so I'm going to kind of breeze through it. But like our components, we have like our incoming stimulus, we have our 5 senses, we know all about that stuff, right? We talked about attention, right? Thomas brought up attention and focus. And how, you know, sometimes we can't control the stuff that's coming in, but we can control what we put our attention on, or our focus, right? We also have like our physiology is another stimulus or another input that I'd like to touch on briefly. And this is all like stuff, like when I'm touching on these things, I'm kind of breezing over them. They'll all be like, we'll do like a week where we just focus on our attention and our focus, right? Or negative thoughts. There'll be a week where we just touch on physiology, right? So like all this stuff is like, if we might not get to everything tonight, there'll be different workshops that we do, behaviors, emotions. Shelly and I are working on, well actually I'll let you talk, I'll introduce that in a second. Let me not jump in. So like physiology is huge. Has anybody ever watched the, I haven't written
TED
down.
Talks.
Yes, Amy Cuddy.
Yes.
TED Talks about physiology,
Yes.
right? So like she did like the science behind like your body language and how it can affect your behavior. And yes, I did my like power pose before this meeting, right? I was in the bathroom when it was here, like boom, when we feel good. Like the physiology is an input. It's a stimulus that affects like our brain, right? So she did some studies
it's
to
just
show
not our brain. It affects the chemicals that run through the body.
It creates the hormones that our brain creates, the hormones that releases testosterone, right? Or I think what the other one I have on there, estrogen, that affects gets sent out to our body and affects our entire body, right? So like it's a stimulus that comes in our physiology. So like, you know, how we're sitting. Like we can do like an exercise, and if we just like right now, try to sit in like small and like depressed and like sad, like stay. Seriously, like just like shrivel up, right? You're like, and then up,
We're all gonna get depressed.
just lay down, right? And then try like say you're happy when you're in that. Like serious, get down. You're just like,
I'm really happy.
I'm happy. Like, doesn't it feel really weird,
Yes.
right? Or if you like pick it up and you're like. Bring your shoulders up, right? And like bring your posture up. Like even if you want to do this, right? Stand like this, right? And then be like, I'm sad. Like do it. Be like, feel really happy. Be like, I'm sad.
The thing is, you can't. Once you're in positive posture, you can't. And everybody does this. Regardless if they're blind, never seen it, they know how to say you're Ray or I'm one. This is a universal posture.
Yeah, it's a natural reaction.
Like where I was going, when I do that, when I say I'm sad, like when I'm doing it in the moment, like it brings me, I want to lower my arms, right? I feel it like coming down. And like it's just that physiology controls, like, you know, if we're gonna feel good, we're gonna work with our spirits.
Controls your psychology.
Yes, it's a stimulus that comes in, right? So when we know that, we can kind of work on our physiology.
And the beliefs control all of it. I mean, that affects our posture and our physiology.
Sure, our beliefs are like filtering everything, our stimulus, right? Physiology.
But the physiology can override beliefs. The physiology theology. You stand in a positive theology, you will override your beliefs.
So like, I'm not gonna sit here and argue like
Yeah,
what
that's okay.
component
No,
is
no, no,
better
that's
or
okay.
worse or what affects what. Like,
That's not what I'm here for.
how like we're not going back to like the systems theory thing, and I'm not saying argue, but like
Right.
I don't know the answers to that stuff, and I'm not sure if any of us do. Right? If we can like, I know that these are all like components, and they all make changes to our overall feelings and our behavior, and they all influence it. And I think the system is probably more complicated than most of the self-help or personal development people describe it as, right? Or that we understand it as. There's so many factors influencing it. But when we know that there's so many different factors, if we can just start seeing what those factors are and making little fine, I don't like the word tweak, right? It probably comes from like a belief that's like limiting, right? But like tweaks to my behavior.
Fine-tuning it.
Fine-tuning. Thank you. Adjustment. Perfect.
Adjustments.
Right, to those, then we can like see the changes that happen from it. Nutrition, that's another input, the stuff we're bringing in, like sleep, right? That's another input, those are incoming stimuli that we can make modifications to.
Yeah, I do want to know, sorry, what do you define as quality sleep?
Quality sleep?
Quality sleep. Can you get quality sleep in 5 hours?
Yes,
Yeah,
you can.
okay.
I think it depends on the person.
I would add to that the clearer your state of mind and the less stress that you have and feel, the more you feel happiness and peace, not
Yeah.
just when you go to bed, but generally speaking in your life, you need less sleep.
Yeah,
You need less sleep.
makes sense.
There are many times when I wake up during the night and I go into I am declarations.
Yeah,
And I'm in a very high state of inner peace and tranquility almost all the time. And so I might spend the next 2-3 hours after I wake up just meditating, being very quiet, doing my declarations. And I don't need a lot of sleep.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll catch an hour's sleep if I can during the day. So I'm one of those people that because of my practices and because of my state of mind, I don't need as much sleep.
yeah. And that makes a lot of sense. If you're low stress, you don't feel like you need so much sleep.
But the other thing that I do that is an important part of that, not only do I hold very high vibrations in my mind, but I have been practicing a whole food plant-based diet for 37 years. And drinking nothing but purified water and herbal nutrition and nuts, fruits.
Yeah,
And I always say that the purer your thoughts, the cleaner your diet, the clearer your mind.
definitely. Makes a lot of sense. So, yeah, I was just asking because I,
So
don't
the
get
other
like 6
component is
hours.
supporting that with your lifestyle.
Yeah, right. Because I live, stressful lifestyle, but I try to run on minimum sleep, just because it's go, 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 now, and I can't afford 8-9 hours of sleep anymore. But I am trying to work on.
So
the input
reflecting back
there.
to you something that you said earlier, because in 1979 I was a 4 to 6 pack of cigarette smoker a day, non-filtered. And I did a complete turnabout within 3 years.
Yeah, really.
So what I would say to you is to recognize, I think what so many of us have a really difficult time coming to grips with. The more you poison your body, the more you're poisoning the brain to mind consciousness connection.
Right, and there might be some conflict that I've been facing, because I want to, have higher thoughts and better results. But I'm still practicing some of the same negative habits, and it's time to change some of those and start trying different things and get different results.
So the more that you hold, or choose to hold, and you practice at holding higher vibration thoughts in your mind all the time, you see yourself starting to sink into some lower vibration thoughts. You bring yourself back up. You repeatedly say those to yourself. You actually are beginning to transcend your old habits.
Yeah.
It takes a while. It takes a long time.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Your old habits are there because you practice them, right? Like you kept repeating it. And those beliefs or stuff that's holding you in those habits. Like, oh, I want a cigarette. You want a cigarette because you keep doing that, right?
Yeah.
So like what Tim's saying, once you start practicing, and I'll use the terminology even though I don't understand it, higher vibrations. you start practicing those more positive behaviors, those will start becoming your habits that you default to, right? And it takes practice and it takes work.
Well, it's easy to see the difference between a low vibration thought or a negative vibration thought and a positive vibration thought. So when I was a smoker, I acknowledged to myself I'm a smoker. If somebody asked me, you know, are you a smoker? Yeah. Got a cigarette? You know?
Right.
So that's a lower vibration thought that kept me in prison to being a smoker. And there were images that went along with being a smoker. You know, the moment I ate my meat, what do you want to do? I've got that image in my mind. I need to go outside, or I need to, you know, be able to light up a cigarette, because that was what I did. I have a cup of coffee, I want a cigarette. I go to the bar, drink a beer, I want a cigarette. So those are the kind of things that I'm talking about in terms of negative vibration or lower vibration thoughts. But when I began to reprogram myself in 1979, it took me 3 years to complete that reprogramming. But what I did was, I held the image in my mind of having that cup of coffee without a cigarette, going to the bar with a friend and sitting there drinking a beer, but not smoking a cigarette. Now sometimes I was successful with it, sometimes I wasn't. Eat my meal, see myself in my mind as not having a cigarette. But after a while, the consistency with practicing it, I began to shift. My perception of myself began to shift. And so pretty soon, I could see myself as being that non-smoker all the time. And that allowed me to come to a point where I could say, that's my last cigarette, and I'm in it.
And that's how you really change. That's the same process. Like
Same process for everything in your life.
I've been using that, like the drug stuff too. I'm actually just like trying to find somebody to go with me to a rave sober, right? Like who goes to rave sober? I used to go there high all the time, but I have so much confidence that I'm so much different now and changed, and I can go to have the sensational experience of the lights and the positive energy and the people smiling, that I'm such a different person now that I don't have to worry about being influenced, or like that I'm going to be susceptible to saying yes to the old habits that I used to partake in when I was there, right? And it takes.
So if all of us have experienced anything in our lives where there's been even a little change, and you stop and think about the way in which you went about it, you're relating to what I'm telling you. It's the same for all of us.
And it's reassuring to hear that, you know, it took you some time to make that transformation. It didn't, because I've tried
It took time for that. That's what a lot of people don't understand. I want to do it right now. I want it right now.
Yeah.
I want to be that right now. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, because I've you know, quit cold turkey on the cigarettes, and I just stopped. I'm like, that's it. The rest of my life's going to be like this.
But if you take the little steps, like Eric was saying earlier, pretty soon they become accumulative.
Yeah.
And they build a platform that allows you to stand at a higher level of self-perception.
Yeah.
And I quit smoking too, so there's always hope.
Yeah, right, good.
Every time you have that cigarette that you didn't want to have, it's not like you failed or went back. It's just another experience you learn from and another rule you can create. Like, okay, this, like, analyze, like, what was I doing right before? What was I thinking about? What did I see, right? What created this behavior? What influenced it? And then you can start making rules like, okay, well, I'm going to make sure I don't do this, or to make little modifications and changes until you start eliminating those kind of situations that are there, right?
And there's one other really key factor that I would share with you, and that is something I think that is really difficult for us to do. It's when you fail, rather than criticizing yourself, you encourage yourself. See, there's a higher vibration of practice.
Yeah.
As you say, okay, so I fell down, big deal. But what do we do when we fall down, Bruce? You pick yourself up and you go on.
Yeah.
Think about a baby like learning to walk, right?
And then encourage yourself to do better.
Yeah, right. I guess I can make those little adjustments, you know, and the pictures in my mind of, you know, one habit is I smoke in the car. Every time you get in the car, you smoke.
Encouraging yourself is self-empowerment.
I would just add that NLP calls what you were describing future pacing.
This one?
Future pacing.
Future pacing.
Yeah, that's like an exercise in NLP. Like just exactly like you were saying. You know, picture, movie, or whatever in your mind in the future of doing what you want to do.
I realized many years later that I was using NLP but didn't know it.
Yeah.
That's the
Well, I think that's what NLP came from.
They
They just studied what people did that worked. And they
It
kinda-
works.
So let's get to let's talk about emotions a little bit if you want to.
Well, emotions, as we've already pointed out, emotions pop up because of the filters that we have. We can all have the exact same experiences overhead, like we are right now, physically, but we're all feeling very different things. And the direction I kind of took this was that these emotions are what create our physical wellness experience or our unwellness experience. And so the two stress hormones are cortisol and adrenaline. And both of those shut down the immune system. They break down the protein. They're muscle wasting things. They can reduce bone density. And so, we're talking long-term stress here. This is what it does to you physically. And when you feel awful physically, then how are you going to react emotionally? And then how are you going to feel physically? Because it's creating these same hormones that are flooding through your body. And that, again, it's its own self-serving loop. And, stress leads to this, and it leads right back again. The two feel-good hormones are dopamine and endorphins. The dopamine, I saw this really cute thing the other day about dopamine is like a quick hit of feel-good. And they said, well, you're on Facebook and you see that someone has liked one of your posts, you go, oh, that's dopamine. Oh, I'm happy. Okay, now I'm going to go do this. And somebody else likes something, oh, I'm happy again. It doesn't last very long, but it's like a quick little hit of happiness. All right. Endorphins are they're more of a longer lasting, higher raising, euphoric feeling. Have you ever heard of a runner's high? You can just out there running and running and running. Ultimately, you get to this point like, I'm at the top of the world, woohoo! And you can stay that way for hours. Endorphins will hold you up and keep you feeling good for a long time. They also help to relieve pain, which is helpful for runners too, I suppose. I've never been a runner, but so those are just two ways that they actually create your body physically, but then they also feed right back into how you feel emotionally. Laughter and sleep. I think sleep is a really important thing too, because if you're stressed out, then you don't sleep very well. And if you don't sleep very well, then you don't get into those really deep sleep cycles that you need to rejuvenate your body. Your body rejuvenates while you're sleeping through the release of human growth hormone. And if you don't get really good, dependable deep sleep, your body isn't going to release the human growth hormone, and you're not going to physically rejuvenate as well as you might if you were getting a better night's sleep.
Plus you lose twice as many brain cells. Plus you lose so many more brain cells.
Laughter creates endorphins. And if you can find something to laugh at or to laugh about, it's almost as good as a power pose. I think it's better than a power pose because you can do it while you're watching a movie. But there are anecdotal stories about how laughter just totally rejuvenates the immune system, and stress shuts it down, right? It shuts down. The other thing that stress shuts down is your digestive system. So even if you eat the best food on the planet, if you're stressed out, your digestive system isn't working right, and you're not going to get the nutrition that you need from all this great food. So, never eat a meal in a rush. That is really, really important. He's laughing.
Yeah, okay.
Set a timer, Okay, I'm just going to focus on the food right now. That's it. Okay. At least try, all right? But but it all feeds into everything else. But the laughter. I read a story once about a lady who had cancer, and basically she there was no hope for her, that kind of thing. And her husband just kept renting and buying and bringing home funny movies. And they just sat there and they would watch funny movies and laugh all day long. And she cured herself.
That's that's very similar to Norman Cousins, where you see that.
Just, yes, because it just, the joyfulness of it, and it raises endorphins, so it's a painkiller, and it just changes your whole outlook. So your body feels better, so your mind feels better, so your body feels better, so your mind feels better, until everything is great.
And we're gonna focus on like cultivating, like she's saying, that laughter or those emotions that, because we control our emotional environment more or less than we think, right? So it's like right tonight we're kind of identifying these things that we want to work on and change, and we're not just bringing up beliefs and values and emotions to be like, okay, this stuff's important, guys, now go have fun, like, right? It's like, this stuff's important, and we can manipulate the change. Manipulate's a bad word, right? Or negative connotation.
Let me add to that, because it is a huge matter of observation and choice. I am going to observe this thing about myself, and I'm going to make the choice to feel this particular way about it, rather than that old way that I used to feel that had me all stressed out. So, but it all comes back to observation, really and truly.
Yes, like judging that's at the moment and making it's changing your perception at the moment. And I feel like practicing emotions, right? Like what Jordan's thing was to be happy, right? And like you mentioned runner's high, like I want to be happy too, and something I do almost every day is I go on the treadmill and I run, right? And I watch happy people. I'm listening to high energy music, right? Basically like rave stuff, right? And like watching high energy people smiling, right? Listening to good music, and like I'm creating an environment where I'm literally on the treadmill with the people around me, and I'm like smiling, and I'm like feeling happy and good. And I look to everyone else and I'm like, okay, well, I'm just not entering their world because I'm having a great thing going on right now. And like I get off the treadmill and like I'm sure I look really weird, right? But like that's okay. Like, why do we have to go there and be grumpy at the gym and have this negative, oh, I'm working so hard and I'm trying so hard to burn these calories, when I'm like having a rave in my mind while I'm on the treadmill, feeling great after too, right? Now, I'm not saying everybody wants to go have raves on treadmills, right? But it's like, I found an hour of time where I can like cultivate happy thoughts and like manifest itself throughout the rest of my day, just being happy during that time. Like I'm happier throughout the day because I'm practicing these emotions, right? Like I'm practicing the emotions I want to have, not just happiness, but creativity or like focus, right? So like I practice those things just like we practice being grumpy or being angry, right? Every time we get angry or something, we're practicing being angry, and we might think we're an angry person, but that's because we respond to things in an angry way and we have more experience to go off of to being angry, right? When we start like cultivating happiness and these positive feelings, pretty soon you get to a point where more than half of your feelings and your behaviors are happy and positive, and your brain's like, okay, well, this is the new default, right? I'm not this way, I'm this way now. And then once it goes there, then that's when you see that like those small shifts that turn into the big changes, right? It's like, okay, the way I was is no longer the best method. I found a better way.
The place to walk in life is acceptance. And when we're accepting life, then we're usually walking in happiness. And what happens when we're not happy? We're resisting life. So to walk and watch our emotions and find out we're not feeling good, what are we wanting that we don't have, that in the moment we're not accepting what is? Because it's really about accepting what is. And so if we look at everything out there is about cause and effect, which we create in our mind, everything, so that's the cause, now there's the effect, then we can come to a place of loving what is by self-talk, self-conversation, come into a place of saying, of accepting it, and then in that, change our emotions and feel good. Now, if we could do that and really do it on a regular basis, our world would change.
My goal for tonight was to bring up these things that are important, right? Our emotions, our behaviors, our thoughts, our beliefs, our stimuli, everything else that everybody else said, right? And then we're going to be going in and being more specific and like how can we start changing all of these things, right? This is not just things that are happening to us, but these are things that are happening that we have power to modify and change, so all of these things can be beneficial to us instead of just things that are happening to us.